Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So this is the video on Bangladesh 2024 from quota protest to regime collapse and how does it happen. It's a strategical analysis which I present to you right now. So let's begin. The collapse of Sheikh Hasina's government was not caused by the quota itself, but the quota issue acted as trigger, not the underlying cause. So by July 2024, Bangladesh possessed almost every structural condition associated with high-risk civil instability: youth unemployment, political exclusion, weak opposition, increasing authority, public distrust of institution, concentrated executive power, economic slowdown, high inflation, elite fragmentation, digital connectivity. The quota ruling merely supplied a mobilizing symbol around which this frustration could unite. So, from 2018 to 2024, many revolutions began year before the first protest. Bangladesh has experienced impressive GDP growth, but its growth produced expectations that increasingly outpaced opportunities. Economic contradictions: the GDP increased, university enrollment too increased, educated youth increased, government jobs remained limited, private sector quality remained uneven. This produced what political scientists call rising expectation with the stagnant opportunity. So government job became extremely valuable because they offered security, pension, prestige, political protection. Competition became the intense. So, why this quota issue mattered? The quota system reserved the large portion of civil service positions for specific group, including the descendants of 1971 freedom fighters. Many students viewed this as reducing opportunity based on merit, especially when government jobs were already scarce. This transformed employment into an identity issue. Political context: in 2009, Awami League had weakened the opposition position, jailed opposition leaders, centralized authority, reduced institution check. This meant normal political channels for expressing dissatisfaction were shrinking. Pressure accumulated beneath the political surface. This mattered enormously. So, system that suppresses ordinary political competition often force dissatisfaction into extra-institutional channels. So, let's begin with phase 1, the trigger event. In 2024 June-July, High Court reinitiated the quota system. Students viewed it as government protecting privileged insiders. Notice the protest was still narrow, demands were limited, no one was demanding a regime change. This was extremely common in successful revolutions. Initial demand: we want policy reform, not we want to overthrow the government. Phase 2, organization. One remarkable feature: no major political party controlled the movement. Instead, universities became the command center. Student network, Telegram, Messengers, Facebook, campus committee created decentralized organization. Advantages: no single leader, no headquarter, hard to dispute. Phase 3, government miscalculation. This is the first strategic mistake: government assumptions. This is another student protest. Expected outcome: arrest, intimidation, university reopen, movement disappear. Instead, the government underestimated emotion, symbolism, identity, and momentum. Phase 4, escalation. Government intervention changed psychology. Before force, participating required political commitment. After force, participation became moral. This distinction is crucial. Political protest attract activists, moral protest attract ordinary citizens. This phenomenon is called backfire effect. In studies of civil resistance, when perceived excessive repression generates broader sympathy and participation rather than ending a movement. Phase 5, narrative shift. Originally remove quota, later injustice, then stop killing, and finally Government must go. Notice how the demands evolved from policy to justice to accountability to regime legitimacy. This transformation is the decisive point. Phase 4 Information War. Perhaps this is the most important battlefield. Government tried internet restrictions, media control, messaging discipline. Students adapted using VPN, Facebook, Telegram, international media. Videos of shooting, funerals, injuries, and protests circulated widely despite restrictions, becoming powerful symbol of mobilization. Coalition expansion. Every successful mass movement must expand. Students alone rarely overthrow a government. Bangladesh protest expanded to parents, professionals, lawyers, doctors, workers, business owners, some civil servants. Eventually, opposition supporters. Now it became student plus society rather than student versus government. Phase 8 The Security Forces. This is often a decisive factor in regime survival. Authoritarian government remain stable while security forces remain ununified. Eventually, police became overstretched. Military signaled reluctance to continue using force against an expanding civilian movement, becoming a pivotal factor in the transition. Once elite cohesive weakens, government authority deteriorates rapidly. Phase 8 Legitimacy Collapse. Political authority rests on legitimacy, not merely force. Hasina still possessed army, police, state, institution. Yet, legitimacy was increasingly questioned after the death during crackdown. The movement broadened from quota dispute to demand accountability and political change. Phase 10 Regime change. On 5th August 2024, Hasina resigned. She left Bangladesh. The military announced an interim transition. Mohammad Yunus was later chosen to lead the interim government with broad support from protest leaders. Critical strategic mistake by government. The mistake underestimating government and the strategic effect was lost initiative. They used escalating force and the effect was expanded sympathy. They framed protesters as enemies and alienated moderates. Internet shutdown, which resulted in damaged international credibility while only partially limiting coordination. They failed negotiating early, which created narrow policy dispute became a legitimacy crisis. So why this movement succeeded? It combined several reinforcing dynamics, a simply widely understood initial grievance, strong understood university-based organization, perceived excessive repression that broadened public sympathy, digital communication that spread information rapidly, expansion beyond student into wider society, weakening cohesion among state institutions and elites. So, this was the analysis of Bangladesh, a very formal analysis. There were many behind the scene characters, such as intelligence forces, intelligence organizations, and many other countries like CIA or ISI or MI6. But we will discuss it in another video. For this, let's just understand the very first initiative isn't the regime change. It begins with a policy change. The protest never, yeah, the protest never really meant to change the regime itself, but it was to change the policy. And such the beginning is happening in India as well. The CJP protest has been one of the largely made protests for NEET issue and which seems to be transforming into such protest. So, if you want a detailed analysis on what is CJP and what is the future of this and where is it going, I will bring a video on it soon. For this video, please do comment how do you like this video, and what are the suggestions and which video should I make next. Drop a comment, leave a like if you liked the video and enjoyed it, and if you got any informative element from this video. So thank you and see you guys in the next video.